Welcome to the live stream. I'm in a very, very different location today. I have I guess you would call it a speaking gig tomorrow, and thus I am coming to you from a different location. And my lighting is horrible. The background is not ideal. Let's see if I could. This lighting is very, very harsh. Let's see if I can improve that a little bit. Wow, that is bad. Yeah, that's a little bit better. We're just going to try to deal with it. I have something that may shock some of you. I actually agree with a policy decision that Donald Trump has made, although I think that he is doing it for the wrong reasons and without understanding one bit of the underlying geopolitical implications of what he's doing. I'm going to get to that in a moment. I also do want to talk about the latest news about Senator John McCain. There's really a lot of things to discuss, so I'll jump right in. This is a live stream if this is your first one. We are able to communicate, you and I, and the best way to do that, if you have a question or a comment that you want me to read or answer or address, is through the Super Chat. Super Chat is enabled using the $ at the bottom of the chat window. If you have a question or comment, it will be read. Sometimes Super Chat is used to get me to say funny things. Sort of seems like a waste of time and money to me, but by all means, if that's your gig, then by all means feel free. But yeah, Super Chat is on. Use it, and I'll dive into those questions soon. New members and patrons who choose to sign up during this stream will get live shout-outs and thank yous. We made big progress on my last live stream in getting towards 1,800 Patreon pledges, and I will talk about that a little bit more later, but davidpakman.com is the place for memberships. Patreon.com/davidpakmanshow is the place for Patreon pledges. Obvious trolling and hate will get you banned, and I have since the last live stream, I've deputized yet another moderator because the trolling has really sort of gotten out of hand, and the moderators have been not only empowered to, but encouraged to ban and block people as they see fit, bearing in mind, of course, that we are trying to encourage open and diverse debate. You will not get banned because you are a right-winger. You will get banned if you do obviously stupid, hateful, or annoying things in the chat, okay? John McCain, we learned that he was undergoing surgery for a blood clot in his eye. We have since learned that he has a malignant cancerous brain tumor. He has brain cancer. It's very, very early to really say much else in terms of prognosis, treatment, or anything like that. What we can be sure of is that because he is a member of the U.S. Senate, he is going to get absolutely the best care available to him, and that's a good thing. I don't say that sarcastically. It would be great if we could make it so that more people in this country could get the care that everybody deserves, that John McCain is going to get, and we wish him the best, increasingly a voice of reason, although I don't agree with him on all issues or even remotely close to that, but increasingly a voice of reason among Republicans lately. And that is that, and I'm sure we will have time to report more on that upcoming. Okay, so what do I agree with Donald Trump about? Donald Trump made the decision today. Well, and possibly the decision was announced today. The decision appears to have been made about a month ago to end the U.S. program where we are arming anti-Assad rebels in Syria. Okay, and just as I talk here, I'm going to try to soften the lighting a little more because it is very, very harsh. I think hopefully that's a little bit better. And I agree with this idea. I have been skeptical of, and in many cases against, this picking sides by the United States, Pentagon, intelligence community, executive branch, whatever, right? This picking sides within countries where we say, let's arm this rebel group or that faction or whoever, because we have a really bad track record in terms of who we support and who we back. And even when we end up supporting or backing the, quote, right side, it often ends up backfiring because allegiances change, those groups can be defeated, and it's very common that the weapons we send overseas or down to Latin America or wherever end up being used against us or our allies. So I actually believe Donald Trump made the correct decision. If you were to come to me today and say, David, you criticize a lot of what Donald Trump does and a lot of what Donald Trump says and blah, blah, blah. What's the best thing you think Donald Trump has done, other than the failure to repeal the Affordable Care Act? I think that this is something that would be on the list. Donald Trump is going to stop arming the anti-Assad rebels in Syria. Now, do I think that it's good because I want Assad to prevail in power? Obviously not. I think it's good for the reasons I said. But this is yet another example of how Donald Trump is doing everything that Vladimir Putin would want him to do. And for those who say if there's a quid pro quo in exchange for Donald Trump being helped into office by Vladimir Putin's Russia, Vladimir Putin hasn't gotten much. And to that I say you could not be more wrong. It started with trying to ease sanctions on day one of his presidency. It started before the presidency with effectively getting the Republican Party to soften its position on Ukraine and Russia. It includes the constant lying about meetings with Russian actors. It includes trying to return these 2 Russian compounds to Russia. It includes spilling classified information that we obtained from our ally Israel to Russian diplomats, one of whom is a suspected spy recruiter for Russia in the Oval Office. And this is now yet another decision by the Trump administration that Vladimir Putin absolutely loves. The Kremlin, Russian interests have been wanting the U.S. to stop arming Assad's opposition since it started under President Barack Obama. So while I agree with the decision, does anybody think Donald Trump understands what's going on in Syria to any degree beyond remembering 1 or 2 talking points that someone whispered into his ear before he went on stage for a debate, rally, press conference, whatever the case may be? No, there's no evidence that he knows anything about what's going on, and this is yet another way in which Putin is getting absolutely everything he wants. Now, this might be confusing to some of you who say, wait, but David, so is this good or is this bad? I agree with the decision. It is yet more evidence that Donald Trump is fumbling around in the dark, just doing what it is that Vladimir Putin wants him to do or benefits from. So we're going to dig into this in more detail tomorrow. At its core, this is about not getting involved in another country's civil war, as is being mentioned in the chat. One can make the argument that this is really, it's ISIS related, so the U.S. is involved. Whether you believe that or not, that doesn't mean the U.S. should be involved. So I agree with the decision. I believe it is part of the total acquiescing that we are seeing. And it's maybe not even acquiescing. It might be something Trump doesn't mind doing with regard to Russia. And this is all while we're finding out about this 8th person that was in the Trump Tower meeting with Donnie Jr. and Jared Kushner and Paul Manafort and the Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya and Rob Goldstone and the whole thing. The 8th person is a widely known alleged Russian money launderer who, I mean, maybe I don't even want to dig into this entirely now, and we'll dig into it tomorrow. But yet again, one of these cases where the more we learn, the worse it seems. And now there really seems to be a money laundering component to whatever it is that appears to have gone on with Russia. So we're going to be talking about all of this stuff tomorrow. There's also a really interesting article let me tell you where it is, in The Hill, which reports that Donald Trump Jr. is absolutely miserable and can't wait for Donald Trump's presidency to end. And in fact, he allegedly can't wait for these 4 years to be over, which has pretty significant implications about Donald Trump's re-election chances. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow as well. As I continue, let me make another tweak here to my lighting just to see if we can soften it even more. Because it is harsh, folks. It is harsh, and I apologize for that. I think that keeps getting somewhat better. although it's hard to tell completely. Okay, I'm going to jump into the super chats in a second here. Before I do that, let me remind you, of course, that we are trying to weather the storm, the destructive storm of the YouTube advertiser boycott. We've lost 85% of our revenue. We were at 0.1 on this graph earlier in the year. We fell to 0.2 at the beginning of the YouTube ad boycott. It looked like things were recovering around 0.3, and ultimately we are at an 85% deficit in terms of YouTube ad revenue. And as a result, we've got to make that up, okay? One of the ways that we're trying to do that is via memberships. You can sign up at davidpakman.com/membership. Members will get instant access to the commercial-free all-access a website section, I guess we would call it, as well as instant access to the bonus show. If the normal rates of $6 a month or $60 a year strike you as high, no problem. I've got just the thing for you. It is a coupon code, IVoted17. IVoted17, all lowercase, all one word. That will give you a 40% discount. And on that note, I want to say a big thank you to Mitch Jones, who has just signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Mitch, you are a great American. Actually, I don't know if Mitch is American. It doesn't matter. I was channeling Sean Hannity there for a second, I guess. Also, big thank you to Bill Tuttle. Bill Tuttle has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. And more thank yous forthcoming. And of course, if you don't want to deal with this entire membership thing, skip the entire thing. Go over to patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. And make a pledge. You can pledge as little as $1 a month. My challenge to you during this stream is let's get to 1,800 patrons, okay? We're at 1,783 patrons. My goal, it would delight me if we could get to 1,800. We only need 17 patrons. That is only 17 $1 a month donations. You can donate $2 if you want. You can donate 5 or 10 or 20, or as some people are doing 50 or even 100. But you don't have to. Just $1 a month gets you on record. And let's see if we can do that. And thank yous forthcoming there as well. All right, let's jump into the super chats. A lot of super chats to get caught up on. Jacob Ball sent a $5 super chat saying, "The bright lights had you glowing like a holy figure." Yeah, this is not, so it's nighttime here on the East Coast in the United States. And as a result, I'm supplementing lights with additional lighting. Now, I wonder if I just turn it off, what does that do for us? Wow, now I'm just basically in the dark. I mean, is that better? Would people prefer that I do this? Is this not, I don't know. Man, this is weird. I think I need the lights. This is just too dark. Okay, I apologize about it. I apologize. I will try to do better next time. 0132 sent a $6.66 super chat saying, "David, are you okay? Agreeing with Trump makes me worry that you've got some kind of brain thing." I told you I agree with the substance of what Donald Trump is doing. The reasons he's doing it are part of the same corruption that we've seen for a very long time. GR sent a $5 super chat. "We're two trees, and each had a person speaking underneath their limbs, and one of those people was Pac Deasy. I would stand under the Pac Deasy treesy." Okay, well, not sure what that's about, but thank you. Appreciate that. Pathak has sent a $2 super chat saying, "Why does the Waltham Domino's on Lexington Street suck?" I assume Eritro is referring to Waltham, Massachusetts, where I went to graduate school at Bentley University. I have not been, actually, I remember the last time I went to a Domino's Pizza because I became violently ill 2 hours after going to that Domino's Pizza. And it was December 30th of 1999. And the reason I remember is it was clearly a very traumatic experience, but because it was the day before a New Year's Eve party. It was December 30th of 1999. And as a result of becoming violently ill, as a result, I believe, of the Domino's food on December 30th, 1999, I didn't have a particularly fun December 31st that year. And I never went back to Domino's. And that's it. So, Eritro, I could not tell you anything about the Domino's Pizza on Lexington Street in Waltham, Massachusetts. $2 super chat from Gamefire74. Words of wisdom to someone consumed with Trump hatred. You're asking for words of wisdom for someone consumed with Donald Trump hatred. I would say focus on, what would I say? I don't know what I would say. I'd have to think about it. Focus on the issues. I don't know. Eric Inglot has sent a $10 super chat. My super chat yesterday, if you remember it, I don't think I did a live stream yesterday. It must have been Monday. But anyway, Eric Inglot says, my super chat yesterday, if you remember it, may have been misunderstood. It is obvious to any sane person that Fox is very right-wing. My grandparents are just much more so. Absolutely love your show. All right, well, listen, I don't want to go back and rehash the entire thing. Did I do a live stream yesterday? Is that true? I could have sworn that it was 2 days ago. Let me look at my calendar. I did do a live stream yesterday. Go figure. People on the stream seem to have a better grasp of my schedule than I do. Okay, well, very good, Eric. I'm glad we were able to clarify that. Frank McWright has sent a $20 super chat. It was obvious Trump was just lying for votes. But why is it so hard to fix healthcare? It still feels like they're more concerned with the profits of the insurers. It feels like they really hold the cards. Any thoughts? Of course. I mean, of course they are. We have a system which is completely inefficient. It adds layers of medical billing bureaucracy, pricing bureaucracy, and profit, none of which serve the consumer of healthcare in any way. And of course, it's because the health insurance industry has an insane amount of power, an absolutely stunning amount of power. And they are more concerned with the profits of the insurers, because everything that is being proposed in these harebrained and failed American Health Care Act versions, who knows how many versions there have been at this point, I guess kind of 4, 2 House and 2 Senate versions or something. Every one of the versions would be good for insurance companies and bad for consumers. So yeah, you're spot on, Frank. There's been a $1 super chat that came in. I don't know who it's from, and the message has been retracted. So if a super chat comes in and we don't know who sent it and we don't know what they said, did it really come in? Well, we still got the dollar, so in that sense, I guess it did. Mark Stanners has sent a 5 British pound super chat. I'm looking forward to a wise guy in the White House movie. Can we have a debate on the movie title? By the way, the lighting is fine. All right, well, I'm glad people are okay with the lighting. I look forward to the movie as well. D. Knight has sent a $2 super chat. Russian translator equals non-official operative cover. Yeah, I talked about this today. So for people who don't know what this is about, and I see that we've got Patreon pledges and new members coming in, and I'm going to get to those thank yous in a second. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, Donald Trump, it's been revealed, had a second meeting with Vladimir Putin at the G20 in Germany. And it was an undisclosed meeting. News of the meeting leaked, and ultimately it was confirmed by the White House because it was obviously true and a number of people in the room saw it. And one of the most sort of stunning facts about it was that Donald Trump had this meeting with Vladimir Putin, this conversation with Putin, without his own translator. It was only speaking through Vladimir Putin's Russian translator. And this goes against a lot of diplomatic protocol in these situations. And as I mentioned on the program today, Vladimir Putin does speak English. It's not great English. Whether he could discuss politics in detail with his English, maybe not, right? That's a fair critique. But if this was the short, non-serious, completely meaningless meeting that it was made out to be, then Putin could have had this meeting with Donald Trump in English. And they opted not to do that. And Donald Trump speaking through a Russian translator, and this is a common thing, you bring in the translator that may or may not be necessary. And translator is a pretty common operative cover for intelligence operatives. And listen, we're talking about Vladimir Putin, former head of the KGB. This is not a dumb guy. And Donald Trump just has absolutely no idea ever what it is that he is stepping into. Paul McGinnis Puppetry has sent a $2 super chat saying, would Pence be worse than Trump? Well, Pence would be more effective than Donald Trump, number one. Number two, Pence would be much less scandal-ridden, and as a result, would be more effective merely by virtue of that, in addition to just being a smarter legislator when it comes to that. And Mike Pence is much more of an ideologue than is Donald Trump. So I think that Mike Pence would be far more dangerous than Trump in most ways, with the exception that if the thing starts getting bad for Trump, and I think you know what it is that I'm talking about, if it really starts to look like Trump's going to be taken down, I would not put it past him to take some kind of erratic military action to try to increase his approval rating. I don't believe Mike Pence would do that. So in that one way, I believe that Trump is quite a bit more dangerous than Pence. GameFire74 has just sent a $7.53 super chat. Do you and Pat have comments that are on camera that don't get published? It would be nice to get some bloopers or unfiltered commentary. Well, the commentary that you get is not filtered in any way. I mean, it's not like we do run-throughs and do stories a few different ways and then, decide which one is safest for broadcast. I mean, the show is done once, and that's it, As far as whether there are on-camera, unpublished comments, not really. I mean, basically, we start the recording process when we're starting the show, and we end it when we're done. So there's very little that's filmed that isn't part of the actual show. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm going with, because I don't want you finding all the bloopers. Let me get back to some thank yous. We are trying to... we're basically asking for your support, right? We have been hit really hard. We actually determined today that our channel is in the top 1% of YouTube channels. In fact, it appears to be in the top 0.8% of YouTube channels. We are approaching 400,000 subscribers, and that puts us pretty squarely, certainly in the top 1% of YouTube channels. And unfortunately, because of the YouTube advertiser boycott, which is going to result in it already has resulted in a huge redistribution of ad dollars to major media outlets, we're getting crushed. We've lost 85% of our ad revenue. So I want to continue the program unchanged, unfettered, with absolutely, not needing to do anything differently, not needing to reduce programming, staffing, our studio, anything like that. And so what we're doing is we're using two platforms. One such platform we're using is called Patreon. Patreon is super easy. You just go to the website and you click the red button that says become a patron, and you put in some amount of money that you can pledge on a monthly basis. If it's only $1, that's fantastic, right? We estimated that at most, if people were watching all of our YouTube videos every month, we were making 30 to 50 cents off of those individuals. If you pledge $1, it might feel like you're not doing much. You're actually making up the lost revenue for you and 2 other of our subscribers. If we can just get to 3% of our audience making some kind of financial contribution, this problem is over, and we can just end it and forget about it and get back to our production schedule. That's all we're talking about. And this may come as a shock to some people, but we estimate that only 0.5 to 1% of our audience actually supports us financially. And that actually really angered a viewer of ours, Chris, who wrote in last week and said that he is absolutely stunned that despite having nearly 400,000 YouTube subscribers, we have not yet reached 2,000 Patreon contributors. And I said to Chris, listen, if I'm not looking to take people's last dollars here, after all, this is independent media. It's important, but we're not looking to get people's last dollar. So if you don't have $1 to contribute, then by all means don't, right? But if you do have $1 to contribute, and many of you do, we've done the audience surveys, please consider making that dollar contribution. When you think about $12 a year, is that really going to change your buying power? is that really going to change your budget? For most of you, it's not, but it makes all the difference in the world if we can just get 3 or 4% of our audience to make that pledge. So keep those pledges coming, and thank yous will be upcoming. In the meantime, I do have more new members to thank, and we do have a coupon code which gets you a 40% discount off of membership. Members also get access to the members-only bonus show. Every day we do a broadcast show, which is free to everybody, and we also do a bonus show just for our paid subscribers. You'll get instant access to that if you sign up on our website. So some of the new members that have signed up during the live stream are Jerko Morovic. Thank you for signing up at davidpakman.com/membership. We also have a brand new member, Caitlin Cusick. Caitlin Cusick has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Rodney Burring has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. All these folks using the 40% discount code. And also, Whitney Mink has signed up at davidpakman.com/membership. Appreciate every single one of you. Please keep those new memberships and Patreon pledges coming. By the way, if we get, I just want to throw this out there, if we get to 1,800 patrons by the end of the live stream today, I will create just for you and announce a 50% discount code for membership, and it will only be available to those of you on the stream. So let's see if we can make that happen. And on that note, let me jump back into the questions coming in through Super Chat. West and East 1024 has sent in a $5 Super Chat with no question or comment. Thank you very much. D Knight has sent in a $2 Super Chat. Odds of Trump Jr.'s Russian translator being NOC. What is NOC? I actually don't remember what NOC is. NOC... abbreviation. What is NOC? It's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know what that means. What is NOC? Can somebody tell me? NOC. I don't know. Was he NO? I'm going to feel so stupid when someone in the chat explains to me what NOC is. Just waiting for someone to say it, and then I'm going to feel like an idiot. Which happens somewhat often on the program, actually. Anybody? NOC, non-official cover, right? It's quite possible. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very possible, and we've talked about that. We've talked about that in the context of the Trump-Putin previously undisclosed meeting. Sandernista has sent in a $5 Australian super chat. Great, David is a part of the 1% now. I'll have to unsubscribe since the 1% is screwing the rest of YouTube. All right. I guess I know that it's a joke. I don't know exactly what it relates to. I guess I'm kind of supporting my own show, yeah. Frank McWright, $20 super chat. Concerning the YouTube Adpocalypse, have you communicated with any other channels different from yours, say video game or drumming channels that are dealing with the same issues? I think YouTube is retargeting the earnings. Yeah, a lot of different types of channels have been hit hard. There's two reasons why I'm talking mostly about news and politics channels, and they relate. I'm not insulting anyone. Gaming channels are great and makeup channels are great, but there's a couple things going on. One, political channels have been hit harder than other channels because of the, quote, sensitive nature of the topics we discuss, things like Russia and Syria. So political channels have been hit harder. And given the Trump era, I don't know that it's as dangerous for gaming channels to not make as much money as it is for independent sources of news and political analysis to not make as much money. This is not an attack. I want to be super clear. I've got friends who have music channels and gaming channels and all sorts of stuff with peace and love. Everybody's fantastic and all that stuff, trophies for everyone who's doing their thing. But I think that right now is a particularly disastrous time for any force that will make it more difficult to have independent news and political analysis. So yeah, a lot of different people have been affected. Political channels are getting crushed, absolutely crushed. Chris Cull has sent a $2 super chat saying, thanks, man. Well, thank you, Chris. eKitKat has sent a $2 super chat saying, step up, I'm broke and I have a membership and Patreon. Well, thank you, Eat Kit Kat JJ. There are lots of people I know, and listen, I get it, right? I watch stuff, and I hear appeals for funding and the entire thing, and it's easy to say, listen, I just don't do that. Somebody else will do it. Blah blah blah. When you look at the revenue chart for our YouTube channel, this is a problem, right? This is not me doing anything out of my mom's house. I mean, other than this live stream, but the show I do from a studio. We have staff. We have production expenses. We distribute this program for free to 200 community radio and television stations and to DirecTV and Dish Network on Free Speech TV, all of whom would not be able to afford to pay for those costs. So we front them because I believe it's so important to make the show available on all of those media outlets. But with 85% less YouTube ad revenue, it becomes pretty damn difficult, okay? So to everybody who's contributing, like eKitKat, JJ, and everybody else, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, and hopefully there will be more thank yous upcoming on the program. Okay, let me go through a few other things. I mentioned some of this yesterday, but I know that we get different people on every stream, so let me mention a couple of other things. Dave Rubin, the host of the Rubin Report, will be joining me for the hour, as Larry King used to say, next Tuesday. We've never done this before. Instead of doing a normal show, okay, next Tuesday, the entire broadcast hour, which is 50 minutes, right? We've got 10 minutes of commercials in the broadcast hour. The entire broadcast hour, all 4 segments, will be an interview with Dave Rubin. It will be deep. It will be deep-reaching and wide-ranging. I don't know what to call it. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. And we have a thread on our Reddit discussion forum, which if you're not participating in, you absolutely should be. Nearly 4,000 of our viewers and listeners are. We have a thread called Dave Rubin will be on the show for the full hour on Tuesday. Questions? And we have 70 suggestions so far for different things people want me to ask Dave Rubin. Some of them relate to his assertion that liberalism is basically a mental disorder, progressivism. Some relate to classic liberalism. Some relate to his views on Donald Trump. A lot of questions coming in for Dave Rubin. If you have questions for Dave Rubin, then participate. Send those questions in. You can submit them through that thread at davidpakman.com/Reddit, okay? After we do this 1-hour interview, I plan to go to the audience and ask you, did you like the 1-hour interview, or would you rather us do 7 stories and a short interview, okay? I'm not ideologically married to one idea or the other. I think that there is some value to doing some longer form, interesting interviews, and I look forward to trying it with Dave Rubin. We've tentatively got 1 or 2 other of these long form interviews scheduled, and I think it's going to be absolutely tremendous. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I think it is going to be very, very interesting, and I look forward to your suggestions, and I also look forward to your feedback. Now, along these lines, we've got a lot of other very interesting stuff planned for you. I've mentioned that we do have our summer vacation is happening in the second half of August, okay? And during that time, we are going to be releasing, and subsequently, some really interesting, I call them deep dives. There's a deep dive playlist on our YouTube channel now. Some people call them long form pieces. Call it whatever you want. We have right now a piece that is effectively done on the so-called violent left. Now it's becoming popular in right-wing circles to say, oh, the left is so violent. The left is violent. The right is not violent, but the left is. Debunked, okay? Our intern Brian, in conjunction with producer Noah Ferguson, have put together a tremendous video, which I have narrated, and we are going to debunk that. We are working on a video about classical liberalism, and there's going to be a couple components to the classical liberalism video. One is going to be, You might think you know what classical liberalism means, but it doesn't mean you're progressive, but you don't like social justice warriors, okay? So we're doing a deep dive into what classical liberalism is, and then we're going to evaluate, is classical liberalism actually progressive? Hint, no, it's not. And I think people are going to like that. That's going to be a really good piece. Then the next stage, and I hope to have some of these ready for you in time for the vacation, we're going to be doing a piece debunking the concept that socialism has never worked. If you know me, you know I am not a communist. I am not a socialist. I align with Scandinavian democratic socialism, which even though it's called democratic socialism, it's not actually socialism. But it's really important, if we're going to talk about socialism, we need to understand its history. And to say, oh, socialism has never worked, that's sort of a bad start to the conversation. So we're going to separate socialism from communism. We're going to talk about whether it's true or not that socialism has never worked. Hint, it's not true. And then we will be able to do a deeper analysis. That's going to be really good. We've got a deep dive coming up on voter suppression. The right likes to talk about, and Trump talked about it today at his election integrity committee lunch, but just whatever thing it is. And the right likes to talk about in-person voter fraud, dead people voting, quote, illegals voting as a real problem. It's not a problem, right? It's not a problem. And we're gonna do a big story on what is a problem, which is voter suppression. And then later on in the summer, we will have a deep dive into race and IQ, which will also consider the recent controversy involving Charles Murray, the bell curve, and Sam Harris, although it will go way beyond that. And we will also be doing a piece. This is arguably the most ambitious thing we've ever done. We have a 12 to 15 part miniseries in the works. It's not yet been finalized how it'll be divided, a 12 to 15 part miniseries on critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Basic epistemology, logical fallacies, cognitive biases that people should be aware of. Could be one of the best things we will ever have produced by the time it's done, but it requires a lot of time. We produce a 5-day-a-week show, and then once that's done, we've got all these long-form pieces that we're working on, and we need to research, and we need scripting, and we need narration, and we need fact-checking, and we need video animation and that component. So this is why this is a problem, the 85% reduction in YouTube ad revenue. If the stuff I just mentioned to you sounds like bullshit, and you don't want to see us do any of that stuff, don't make a contribution, right? Forget about it. Don't contribute. If those sound like valuable endeavors that would add something positive to the conversation and what's out there about a lot of these issues, consider making a pledge of $1 or $2 a month at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. And on that note, I want to send a big league thank you to Herbert Holmes, who has just pledged $5 per month at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. I want to send a huge thank you to Jeremiah Jones, who has just pledged $2 a month at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. That gets us to 1,785 patrons. If we get to 1,800, folks, please, we can do this. If we get to 1,800 during the stream, I will create and announce to you a one-day only 50% discount code off of membership just for you, just for people on our stream, okay? And I would never even dream of shortchanging our members who have been signing up while we've been talking here. You can sign up for membership and get all those great member benefits at a 40% discount by using the coupon code IVoted17 on our website. Membership is all the rage. All the kids are talking about it these days. And I want to say thanks to Sharon Kennedy, as well as Chris Hawkins and Ivan Newton and David Weissman, all of whom have signed up just while we've been chatting here at davidpakman.com/membership. All right, a lot more questions that I want to get to in the super chat. Next one is from Wow, a lot here. Cezi Canales has sent a $10 super chat saying, thank you, David. Thank you, Cezi. Always appreciate your support. Mark Stanners has sent a 10 British pound super chat. I live 3 miles away from a wall built 2,000 years ago. Politics has been going on here before, and since then, social care has been learnt and accepted over that time. All right. Very good. Thank you very much, Mark. Victor Savell has sent a $10 super chat. In hindsight of the YouTube adpocalypse, would you say you had relied on ad money too much? And when do you consider the catch-up complete, knowing that you'd like to expand the show more? Much love. Listen, that's a fair critique, which is we were overly reliant on YouTube ad revenue. We were way less reliant on YouTube ad revenue than many other channels, and that's because I'm worried with every ad revenue source, with every revenue source that it could go away at some point, right? There's been problems with the Amazon affiliate program. There can sometimes be problems even just processing payments through membership, whatever the case may be. So my running of the David Pakman Show as a business is quite conservative, and that's why we did not go out of business as a result of the YouTube ad boycott, but it is going to impact us in terms of our future plans and growth if we don't sort of solve that. And, when would I consider the catch-up complete? My goal would be, if we replace all of the lost revenue, we now are completely independent of YouTube ad revenue. And then we can use that as a new jumping off point for further growth, new shows, more programming, a network of programs, whatever. I think the sky is sort of the limit when it comes to this. XX Shameka has sent a $5 super chat. Ask Dave Rubin, I presume they mean, why he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Like, why can't he criticize the right? Please hold his feet to the fire. I'm going to talk to him about Trump. There's no doubt about it, and we are going to get into that, I promise you. XX Shameka. West and East 1024 has sent a $1 super chat. KLM has sent a 2 British pound super chat. Thank you. Marcel84 Marcel has sent a $21 super chat. That makes it, edging out Frank McWright, the biggest single super chat of the evening. Is there any way to donate with Bitcoin or Ethereum? I am actively working with a web developer to see how we can start to accept Bitcoin, okay? And interestingly, our system works on a platform that has an add-on for accepting Bitcoin. So my sense is it's not a huge task to do that. It's my goal, Marcel, to be able to accept Bitcoin. XX Shameka has sent a $5 super chat. I would recommend watching YouTuber Nightmare Fuel on legitimate criticism of Dave Rubin. Thanks for your work. All right, I will check that out. I am interested in seeing all critiques of Dave Rubin before the interview. I think it is going to be a very, very interesting interview, and I hope that you will give me your honest feedback when that video publishes. Okay, on that note, it is getting incredibly warm in this room because I can't run the air conditioner while I'm on because my mic would not like it. I am going to end this stream. We've got a great program tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who signed up for membership. Thanks to everybody who contributed on Patreon. Help us do this thing. Help us do this thing because this is not good. This is not a good situation. I will talk to you tomorrow.